Dale's McCock Podcast, sitting here with Wes Levine, starting just like that, man.
All right, that was fast.
Yeah, man, you just got to my house. What'd you do? You just got done training?
Yeah, I just got done at the new 10th Planet Orange spot.
Yeah?
We finally got the pillars all padded up so we can have proper classes there starting Monday.
People are running into screws?
That was a legitimate fear. So there's 4 giant load-bearing beams that go across the whole gym. And this whole week we've had to have one person standing at each one of them the whole time to make sure no one hits their head on these like crazy inch-thick bolts. So it's good because I'm.
These are pillars that come down in the center of the mat.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
So now we just padded those things up. They're just crazy soft.
The gym I was at in Taiwan, they went through a similar renovation, and they had those pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one side, maybe 3 inches, where it's not padded; it's just wood. And so it was like always just a natural countdown until someone bangs into it. I don't know how many times it happened. I'm sure it's happened a million times since I left. It's guaranteed.
It's Murphy's Law, man. When I was still in high school in wrestling, we had a really big wrestling room. For such a poor program, we had 1,000,000 miles of mat space.
Wow.
And somehow there was one little like 1/2 foot by 2 foot rectangle of concrete that didn't get covered. That was at the very edge of the mat, right in front of like the office, and inevitably someone would always fucking faceplant on it once a week, and we even tried like putting stuff there to block it, and it would get moved somehow.
Ghost of wrestlers past.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What school did you wrestle for?
I wrestled at Orange High School.
Orange High School.
Once a Panther, always a Panther.
Wow.
It was an incredibly poor program. We did not have. It actually got cut my senior year.
That's good.
Or rather, my junior year going into my senior year. They're like, yeah, so you guys don't get to wrestle anymore. And I was like, oh, that's not acceptable. So I spent the whole summer calling the athletics director. I got a hold of his cell phone number and his home phone number. So I called him every day. And I was like, hey, I really want to talk about this wrestling program. And finally he got sick of it. He goes, if you get, I forget, it's like 30 people to come to me and to sign this petition and say that they want a program, I'll start a program. I think it was 30, some number. He probably made it up on top of his head. He just wanted me to leave him alone.
Yeah.
Little did he know. I went out to every single person I could find. First of all, I went all to the team that was going to be there next year. And they're like, yeah, we want to wrestle. So I'm like, cool, got them all signed up. And then I went out to all the people. I was just canvassing other sports and talking to like my friends' siblings who were going to be coming in. I got like 50 people. It was the athletics director at the time was the basketball coach. And so we walked into his basketball practice, outnumbering him and his whole team. And we're like, hey, can we have a wrestling program next year? He goes, okay, but I need to find a coach. And then he never looked for a coach. I was like, you piece of shit. So we tried. We tried having our friend who was held back a year, so he was 18 before all of us. And so we're like, dude, you have to apply to be the coach. I'll teach wrestling, but you just be the face. And we thought it would work. We were so stoked.
He's an adult.
He was an adult, and I'm like, okay, it's my buddy Zach, and I go, dude, just email him, tell him you want to be the coach and all this stuff. And that motherfucker used his regular email address, which was PokeMasterZach20,000. Do we cheers or we just sip on?
Yeah, drink at your leisure, man.
Cool.
It's hot. Be careful.
I'm not afraid.
But man, we had exact opposite high school experiences. Going into your senior year, you petitioned for the wrestling team. Going into my senior year, I quit the wrestling team.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. Wrestling's hard, man. I wanted to quit. I almost quit after my freshman year.
Yeah?
What was this? The only reason I didn't was because I didn't want to go to PE.
Okay.
That was the only thing. So, because
What's so bad about PE?
I just didn't want to do it. I felt, I guess you could probably say shame having to go from like a sport into PE. And you had to do 2 years of physical education anyways. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do another year. I'll stick it out. And then sometime in the late spring, I kind of decided I was tired of getting my ass kicked. Because I wrestled the summer before my freshman year, the fall of my freshman year, the winter of my freshman year, and the spring of my freshman year, then going into the summer again after my freshman year. I wrestled all that time, and I only won 2 matches. 2 of them.
See, in this way, we're very similar.
Yeah. And I was like, so I was going to quit because I'm like, man, I suck. I'm just going to give up and da-da-da. But then I was like, you know what? I'll be pragmatic about this. I have to do another year of this anyways. And then sometime in practice, I kind of was like, you know what? I'm going to lose anyways. Why don't I just try this? And I did it, and it worked. I go, wait a minute. Why don't I try this? And I started like, oh shit, if I try, I can do well. That's probably when it clicked. Man. Yeah.
And what weight were you back then? What were you wrestling freshman year?
I used to be a Skeletor, so my freshman year I wrestled 160s, but I only weighed 158 on like a heavy day holding a sandwich.
Like, I assume you were 7 feet tall back then?
No, I was 5'11" my freshman year.
Wow.
But I was just skinny. We couldn't afford food, so I didn't really eat a whole lot. I ate at school twice, and then that was pretty much it.
Wow.
That is hot.
And now you're still teaching the wrestling program at, or not the program, but implementing wrestling into your classes.
I do. I try to.
Good way. Always a fun way, man.
I try to always keep wrestling alive, because as much as jiu-jitsu guys, want to go there, it's sub only, no points, and this. And it's like, yeah, dog, but you got to get to the floor first.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
So I try to always run at least one class a week as like a intro wrestling class kind of thing for people who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which is good, because it can be really intimidating to walk into wrestling practice. Which it should be, because wrestling is fucking hard.
I like the way you do it, man, because I can, like, blend in as if, like, yeah, this is crazy. I've never done this either. And then take down people who've literally never done it. Like,
flying backflip, double leg.
No one anticipates that I put in as much hard work as I did.
Right?
My technique does not reflect my hard work.
What school did you wrestle at?
Modern Day.
Modern Day.
Yeah.
Fucking white people.
But, man, our freshman year at Modern Day, we didn't have a wrestling room, like, on campus. We had to run through Santa Ana to like a church where we had mats that we rolled out.
Oh man, that's
like,
rough.
Every other sport at the school was like basketball sponsored by Nike. Like the football team had like
Their football team is fucking amazing though. They earned that.
Beautiful field and everything, every accommodation. Wrestling, we had to run off campus, like get chased by pit bulls.
Hop a couple fences, pick a lock or two.
It was rough, man. It was the mean streets,
The struggle's real. Wrestling was really starting to die off in high schools, which I was under the impression that the boom of all this MMA stuff happening would just make it better, but I don't know that it is. It was almost taken out of the Olympics.
Yeah.
It was it's being dropped from a lot of programs, and it's really being cast aside. And it kind of bums me out, man. Wrestling's awesome. It's got me started.
Yeah.
Like, people always have those shirts say jiu-jitsu saved my life. Wrestling saved my life.
If
I didn't join wrestling, I wouldn't be here. That's for damn sure. I wouldn't be sitting here drinking unreasonably hot tea. No, for sure, there's no way I would have joined jiu-jitsu. There's no way I'd be as confident as I am right now. I'd probably... I think back to 8th grade. I would probably just be happy as shit playing video games all day, which sounds awesome right now. Not for almost 20 years, so I'm glad I found wrestling.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I was just thinking about like how crazy it was for me, man. I used to cry a lot before I joined wrestling. I was a big crier. And the first day of wrestling, I looked around and was like, no, that's just not going to fly. This is the worst thing I could do.
All right, just wait till you get home, and then it's good to go.
Oh, man. Because, before that, man, it was, like, ridiculous. But I think I only cried one time on the mat, and no one cared. It happened. Mm-hmm. No one else gave a shit.
Yeah. I have thrown up a couple times training from wrestling. I've never thrown up training jiu-jitsu or MMA or boxing, Muay Thai. None of that made me throw up, but a couple times in wrestling. Once... didn't really count. Oh, it counted. So, I'm trying to justify I fucking counted.
You vomited.
Straight up projectile vomit. It was pretty rough. We forgot we had practice one day, and I was a sophomore, and so we went to this taco bar down the street from our school because we had 4% body fat and I looked like a stick. I eat whatever I want. And I went there, and then all of a sudden we get a text from our friends saying, hey, man, where are you guys at? Practice is starting in 10 minutes. I'm like, wait, what? And so we had to book it back to the school, and our practices were ridiculous. It was unreasonable back then. We used to go on a 9-mile run. It started. It was the first thing we did. We'd stretch, get ready. We ran more than the cross-country team.
Jesus Christ.
A friend of ours, his girlfriend's on cross-country. Goes, we did like 6 miles today, and we're pissed. Not cross-country at all. So after, we'd finish our 9-mile run, we'd go into the weight room for an hour and a half, and then we'd wrestle for at least 2 hours. And it sucked. So we got back from the run, and I had this Taco Bell. I was like, hang on, I'm just going to handle this now. I went to the trash can. and let it all out. Felt way better. But I was kind of pissed because that was like, I spent all my money on that food.
Yeah.
And I was hungry again. So.
You paid for a good story, man.
I did.
You know?
Paid for a sad story.
Sad story. What's going on these days, man? You just hang out at Disneyland and coach jiu-jitsu?
Disney and jiu-jitsu is pretty much it. Every now and then is there a rating on podcasts?
As far as what? You want to cuss?
No.
Oh.
Sexual content?
Oh, please.
Just masturbate every now and then. That's pretty much all I do. No, so actually pretty recently I just quit my job.
What was that?
I was a restaurant manager in Irvine. Right? I got that when I've been in the restaurant business since I was 18.
Yeah?
And I got a manager job at Pat and Oscar's right down by Main Place Mall.
Okay.
And so I was managing there. And it actually, we had to go out of business because they had a really shitty manager. No, because...
The manager was stealing all the breadsticks.
No. I stole so many breadsticks. It wasn't even stealing, but it was just, I felt like it was.
Yeah. Sneaky stale breadsticks.
No, we ended up going out of business because they had problems with the property managers and people who own the buildings. And so I went and I started being a server for a little while. And the owner from the last restaurant called me and said, "Hey, I'm opening a new place. I need a manager." And I was like, sold. So I was there for 2 years, ish, maybe a little over. And I realized that in those 2 years, I'd only gone up 6 units in school, which is, for those who aren't unit savvy, half a semester. So in 2 years, I went up literally a quarter of a year. And I was like, this isn't acceptable. I have to, I was making good money, but I'm not making drop out of school money. So, and I also don't want to be a manager for the rest of my life. If I wanted to do this to pay for school, and I can afford to go to school, but I have no time to go to school.
Yeah.
And now that I have all this time to go to school, I can't afford to go to school. It's a vicious circle you're trapped in.
You were telling me in the gym, man, you've been on your own for a while, right? Like, you haven't lived with your parents or...
No, I would live with my parents or rather just my mom, mostly, up until 2 days after graduation.
Of high school?
Yeah, of high school. And after that, I just throw my stuff into whatever bag would fit it and walked out.
Wow.
My brother had just gotten back from Afghanistan at the time, so he got a place with his friend, and then I moved in with them. And I got a job at Pat and Oscar's 3 weeks later, I think. Wow. Started working, stayed up for about a half year and went to school. And then another half year later, I found jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. It was good stuff.
And so there was a time when you're working, going to school, and teaching jiu-jitsu.
There was a time, it's going to get way better than that. Let me tell you something. I didn't sleep for a few weekends. There was a time when I was working at the restaurant. I was still full-time in school. I always had 12 units. I was coaching wrestling, learning jiu-jitsu. I don't think I was teaching jiu-jitsu at the time. And I also was working at a bar.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was working as a busboy / security at a bar. So pretty much as a busboy, we were wearing a microphone. We were wearing a walkie. And so I'd be cleaning up stuff, and they'd be like, "Everyone to the booth, to the DJ booth." I'm like, fuck, I'd set the thing down, crack my neck, and I'd walk over there and see some cholo with a broken bottle. I'm like, throw him on the floor, move on, next.
How many cholos you throw on the floor?
Between 7,000 and 8,000, I don't know. No. Actually, no, it wasn't actually so bad. Being tall is a great advantage. People don't usually want to fight taller people. So it's also really hard to look intimidating when you're looking straight up at somebody.
Yeah, it's not good posture for it.
I had one guy who was about this tall, itty bitty guy, and I was at the back door, and you weren't allowed to come back in. You could only leave. You're more than welcome to walk around to the front. There's no charge. Just walk around the front and come back in. It's not a problem. So as he's leaving, he's trying on his phone, trying to talk to his booth. Whatever he's saying. And I go, "No re-entry." And he walked out. And then I'm standing there. I'm like, he didn't fucking hear me. He doesn't know why I walk back in. So I'm standing there, tries to walk back in. And I put my hand like, "Hey, sorry, man, you can't come in this way. You got to walk around at the front." And he goes, "No, I was just in." I'm like, "I know. I saw you leave. And when you left, I said no re-entry. So you got to walk to the front. It's okay. There's no cover charge. Just walk on in." And he goes, "Well, just let me in right now." I'm like, "No, just go to the front. It's right there. Like, we only have one rule. Don't come back in this way." It was a city thing. Fullerton. It was in DTF and downtown Fullerton. And there's really weird rules around there. They couldn't come in from that side of the street. They had to walk around to the front. I don't know why. So it wasn't my rule to make up. I just enforced it.
Not your favorite rule, not one you believed in.
No, but I did like to have a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
Like with this guy. And he's being a dick about it. And he was like 5'0" nothing. And he's looking straight up at me and goes, "Hey man, is $9 an hour really worth getting your ass kicked for? I've been to prison, dog." And I look down at him and I go, "Actually, I get paid $15 an hour. So yeah, either walk to the front or walk home." And so he was like, and he walked out the front. And I pulled my walkie out. I described him to the guys at the front and said, "Yeah, don't let him in." And so he walked on the front and couldn't get back in.
Wow.
We used to do that a lot.
Victorious, big, tall man.
And it was fun just messing with people. But yeah, so school, teaching wrestling, training jiu-jitsu, working at the restaurant, working at the bar. I would sometimes on Thursday nights, I had stats at 7 a.m. in the morning, which is not a great time to learn math.
Terrible.
So we'd go stats
Brutal.
it went stats right into one of my poli-sci classes, and I'd jet to the restaurant for a couple hours, book it back into the to the wrestling room. No, I'm sorry, it went to the wrestling room, then to the restaurant. That's what it was. And then after that, I went straight to the bar. And then when I was done with the bar, I'd wake up for Friday, and it would go work, school, wrestling practice again. Then Saturday, we would have tournaments. So I was like, work, school, wrestling practice, bar again. And then I'd wake up the next morning at 5 for the wrestling tournament and be there. I'd get up at 5. We'd probably get there around 7, and I'd be there till 10 p.m. I'd show up late at the bar for another shift. And then the next morning, I had work at the restaurant, then work at the bar, and then I would shoot myself every week.
It's so brutal, man.
It was
so
pretty
brutal.
rough. For a while, I fell asleep holding a rock star in my math class, and I was like, "This isn't good." I just drank 60 milligrams of sugar and 174,000 pounds of caffeine, and I'm blacking out. My professor used to walk by, and she would do this. She'd walk in front of me, just be like, right in front of my head, p-value, what? And I just pop up. And my grades started slipping really bad for that class, so I quit the bar, and I talked to my professor. I was like, "Look, man, what do I got to do to pass? I don't want an A. I don't want a B. Just give me a C. How do I get out of here?" And she goes, "You need to get a 95 on everything I give you." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Every in-class assignment, every piece of homework, every this. You have to get 95 or you'll fail." And I go, "Fuck. All right, let's learn some stats."
Jesus
And
Christ.
so I went home, and I went to do my homework for probably the third time that semester. And I get my homework out, and I'm reading. I'm like, "I have no idea what this means." I go, "Okay." And I go back a chapter, and I read it, and I go, "Okay, well, what does that mean?" And I go back a chapter, and I'd read it. And I went back like 4 chapters, and I taught myself stats all night long. And then finally got to the chapter. I go, "Okay, I can do this." And I do my homework, which is, we don't have like 4 problems, but each of them was a full page long.
Yeah.
Just writing it out. You got to write out paragraphs and stuff. And so I just started teaching myself stats and started kicking ass, and then it came around to it, and she's like, "Okay, I did the numbers for you again because I'd, miss a couple points here, 1 point there." And she goes, "You have to get a 99 on the final to get a C in this class." And I was like, "I'm going to fucking do it. I'm so fucking ready for this."
Oh my God.
And so this isn't usually the best study method, but it works for me sometimes. And I spent the whole day, I called out of everything I was doing, no wrestling practice, no work at anything else. I spent the whole day reading my stat book, and then I spent the whole night doing that. And I just would take a break here, get back at it, went to bed at like midnight or 1 in the morning, woke up at 5, drove to school, sat in the seat I usually sit in to take my test, and I started studying right there, studying. Test came by. I fucking rocked that test. I checked up, I called my professor, and I aced it, got 100 on it.
Wow.
It was like the best triumph story ever, because I'm not great at math. But
yeah,
I'm really
stats
good.
is not easy.
Yeah.
I've been through stats, man. It's rough.
But I'm really good at pulling a victory out of my ass when I have to.
That's amazing, man. You're an inspiration, Wes. That's why I wanted to talk to you today. Because I often feel lazy in this life, and talking to you, I think about how little I've done with my life.
Oh man, I'm not even a quarter done. I just try to hustle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I always want to keep. I don't like downtime. Like, I don't like not knowing what to do. So that's why I never really minded having all those jobs and all this and all that. Up until, this is probably the first time in my life I haven't had more than one actual job, like with paycheck. Like, I teach jiu-jitsu and I get paid for that too. But usually I would teach jiu-jitsu and I'd work in a restaurant and I'd also do this while I'm going to school. And it keeps me busy and it keeps me going. It's just weird having all this free time now, which is awesome because I'm kicking ass in school, I'm kicking ass putting together lesson plans for jiu-jitsu and getting everything ready. And I have more me time. And it's okay.
Just masturbating a lot.
So much, dude. Crazy. My strangers don't even feel strange anymore. I just call them besties.
So I imagine not much meditation experience from you?
Well, I guess that depends on how you would define meditation.
It's a vague word, man.
Right?
It's a vague word.
So I've done yoga a bit. Not I haven't done any with Eric Sam down at 10th Planet Costa Mesa, which I want to so bad. But the 1 week I had where I was able to do it, I was at Orange building the damn place.
Right.
So I didn't get to. But I did yoga, some college classes, and I've taken a couple like private studio classes. For me, when I meditate, I don't necessarily just sit in quiet and silence and think to myself, I hate silence. I hate it when it's quiet. It's never good for me. So I meditate while I'm exercising. So if I'm even weightlifting, too, not even just jiu-jitsu. So if I'm in the middle of I'm benching and I'm just in the zone, all I can think about is my arms doing this. That's it, just coming up and down and up and down. I'm really intensely focused, and that's the kind of meditation I like. There's a word for it that I probably know and I forgot, but it's just that's the way I liked. Wu Wei. If I'm pronouncing it right. It's the way of no way. Yeah, way of no mind. And I try
effortless action.
Yeah, and I try and have it. That's the way I like to meditate when I'm doing stuff like that. If I sit still, I get jittery. Like I'm not cold and I'm not warm, but I really want to play with my jacket right now. I don't know why. So I'm trying not to.
Got something to play with, man?
I actually had Pokemon Go happening right here a little bit ago.
I don't know if there's a Pokemon in my house, but
there's not. But if there are, I'm gonna let you know.
Where'd you learn this term, Wu Wei?
I took a Eastern philosophy class a couple semesters ago. I was really bummed out because that was when I first started the big management job at my other restaurant that I just quit. And that opening week happened just before midterms, and I worked 100 hours that week.
What the fuck?
And right? So
what does that even mean? I didn't know there were 100 hours in a week.
Neither did I. I'm not very good at counting, but it doesn't go much more than that. And I know 100 hours sounds like that kind of thing where you're like, oh, he means he worked like a bunch of hours. No, motherfucker, I worked 100 hours in a week from opening on a Monday to closing on a Sunday. I was there for 12 to 13 hours every single day, 15 on some of them. And I was never not doing something there too. And I was kicking ass there. And I tried to email my professor. I was like, can I postpone this or this or this or this? And I ended up failing all 3 of my classes I was taking. And that's when I really started thinking like, man, I got to get my shit in gear. And so I started taking smaller loads, but I really only finished a couple of classes. Thank you, sir. That's actually really good tea.
I always knew you're into smaller loads, Wes.
Giggity. It's a gag reflex. It's terrible. So tails of my cock, huh?
Macaque.
Macaque. Like the bird? That's a macaque.
Monkey.
Monkey. Damn it. I knew it was a thing.
Taiwanese rock macaque. It's the official monkey of Taiwan.
That is so gangster. I meant to Google it before I came over here, but I forgot.
I got you, man. I got you.
That's awesome. I like it. The rock macaque. Do you think they knew what that meant in English when they were naming it, and they're like, hey guys, you want to fuck with those white people?
I mean, I think it's from like Latin. I don't. That's not like the Chinese word for it. It's not the local Taiwanese Aboriginals. Like,
hey man, maybe. Who knows? Anything's possible.
It's true. We're not scientists here, but you are a doctor. So.
I am. I'm a very special kind of doctor, though. There's a lot of doctors out there who have, for instance, if you have a law degree, you're considered a Juris Doctorate. You could be a chiropractor, but you're a doctor, but not necessarily a doctor that prescribes medicine. You could be a doctor in physics or a doctor that teaches. I'm a doctor because I put DR period in front of my name. So it's a really special kind of PhD, poser hater degree. It honestly started off as a joke, and people just kept going with it. And so I just was like, fuck it, that's my name now.
Dr. Coach?
I used to go by Captain.
Okay. You get kids to call you Captain?
I was the captain. Everyone called me the Captain. And it was a lot of fun. And then I changed to Doctor. I don't know if Doctor Who inspired it, but I can't refute that it didn't. So it might have been a little bit inspired by Doctor Who.
Okay.
So it's just fun. It's fun to have fun.
So I imagine in this busy life of yours, you haven't had much time for drug experimentation. Is that true?
It is true, actually, which is funny. Anybody out there listening who's familiar with the ethos of 10th Planet, very much heavy into the use of recreational marijuana, THC.
And other drugs. We don't discriminate.
That's true, and other drugs. But that one's a biggie. There's a lot of things in it, like we have like stoner control and vaporizer. We have moves that are literally named after drugs. And I've never smoked pot. I've never smoked cigarettes. I've never smoked anything, except for fools who think they're faster than me at the red lights. I smoke them on the regular. I mean, you know, I drink beer. I drink liquor. Not right now because I'm cutting weight, but I will.
What are you cutting weight for?
Boredom.
It's not even a tournament.
No, I'm not competing soon. I don't want to compete till summer, till I'm done with school. I just get bored and start cutting weight, and then I'll get bored again and start putting on weight. I was 216 for a little while, and that was cool. But I really, really like having abs. Okay. And it's like dope because I have the right body. I have the right body type to have an 8-pack, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll do that again. And so I would cut weight, and I'm like, I want to be stronger. And so then I would just bulk again. And then I was like, tired of being a fat piece of shit. And then I'd cut weight. I just do things I get bored.
Do you need a book, or like, does that change everything?
A little bit. So right now I'm just cutting just because. I'm also trying to support my roommate. He wants to cut again. And so when he starts doing that, I'll diet with him just to help him. It's easier. Because it's really hard when you have to like eat low calorie or low carb and eat super clean, eat this, and somebody rolls up eating some fucking McDonald's and all this sugary shit and bread. I don't miss sugar. Like, sugar's not a big deal for me. I can live without sugar, but bread. You have no idea how many awesome things happen with bread.
What's the most common way you eat your bread? What are you into?
Peanut butter and honey sandwiches.
Peanut butter and honey?
Motherfucking peanut butter and honey sandwiches.
Sounds great.
Peanut butter is the best thing ever. Like, if I became allergic to peanut butter today, I would die tomorrow. Because it's just, I'm like, maybe one spoonful, I won't die. I'm dead. That's it. There's no way around it. I love peanut butter too much.
I understand, man. It's like a purely American thing. Like, I'm on your side. Like, I grew up on peanut butter. It's one of my favorite things in the world. But if you travel to other countries, you find it, like, in the American aisles of grocery stores. And if you buy it, like, they know exactly, like, there's no confusion.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Stereotypically, an Italian cannot handle peanut butter.
I don't want to brag or nothing, but you know what else is an American thing?
What?
Being back-to-back World War champions. So...
For now.
Yeah, for now. But then again, we also have the most nukes, but then again, they're also all deteriorating underground. So it is kind of becoming a tie-up.
It's hard to keep score.
Yeah.
Man, I woke today to see the Donald Trump inauguration. That was my alarm this morning.
That was your alarm? That was everyone's alarm. That was everyone's wake-up call. I solemnly swear to hold up this office. Believe me. Believe me. Yeah.
Mom's trying to get me to march tomorrow, but I told her I have jiu-jitsu to go to.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, man. My girlfriend's crazy upset. Like, she's really, really passionate. Very, very much. She believes in what she believes in, and she will fight to the bitter end for it. And she was not happy when he won the election, or rather, when he won the Electoral College, not the election.
Correct.
But you play stupid games, you get stupid results, right?
I guess so. I can see how that applies. I'm sleepy, man.
Yeah.
It's a Friday night.
Dude, it is Friday, huh?
It is. You a big party guy? Trying to go party tonight, man? You go to Hooters?
No,
Get some wings?
No, not even. Although wings do sound delicious. It's so good. One of the best things is I get to eat all the spicy food I want because that has no carbs, just no sugar, just a lot of sodium, and I don't care about that.
You don't care about sodium?
No, I've actually really never been big into partying. Like, I didn't even first really, like, actually get drunk until after high school. I had a couple of drinks in high school when at my brother's going away party, he was going to be shipped off to Afghanistan. And so before he left, I had like 2 beers and 2 Jack and Cokes with him. And like that was just like, me and my brother, my first actual drink. Everyone had like, oh, can I have a sip of your beer? But like I had a full drink and it was mine. So I was, I forgot how old I was, but, and then after that, when I graduated high school, I started drinking, a lot more. I don't know, I just never wanted to party in school. I kept myself really busy, like, I've always kept myself busy. When I was in high school, I was in 4 different choirs, and I was in wrestling all the time, and I would always, be exercising and doing stuff. I had to walk everywhere I went, so...
When was the last time you were in a choir?
It's been some years, as you can hear from my beautifully grainy voice. I think it's been about 4 years since I've been in choir, 5 years maybe.
Is it a church choir, or are there other kinds?
It was a community choir. It was run by my high school choir teacher, but I was also in his church choir just because we sang a lot of the same music, and he needed more people in there, and I needed more practice, so I just went to his church a couple times to sing, which was rough. Not big into going to churches. I used to get tricked.
Thing these days.
I used to get tricked into going to church, and I really didn't like that.
How so?
It was my stepsister would go to her dad and be like, "Oh, let's wake up Wes and see if he wants to come to church with us." And like, what am I supposed to say? You wake up first in the morning like, "Hey, do you want to come to church with us?" I'm like, I'm not going to say no to you. Yeah, I guess. And then my one of my best friends, or old best friend from high school, would do the same fucking thing to me. He'd be like, it'd be Saturday night, and he goes, "Hey man, you want to come over and spend the night?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "Wait a minute." I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. It's Saturday. Are you guys going to church tomorrow?" I sounded like Mickey Mouse when I was a kid. My balls didn't drop till I was 20. And he goes, "No, man, we're not going to church tomorrow, so come on over." And I'd go over, and we'd have fun. We'd stay up all night, and I'd fall asleep. And then his mom would come wake me up. She goes, "Hey, you don't have to, but if you want, we're going to go to church." Fuck, am I supposed to say to you? I'm like, "Let me put some pants on and we'll go, I guess."
You could say no, man. Why can't you?
No, I couldn't do it. I had no choice.
I've said no to so many churchgoers. So many churchgoers. And
he had the shit-eating grin the whole ride over there.
Man, I don't think I ever I didn't go to church much growing up, but when I got to modern day, the first day everyone stood up and started chanting the same prayers.
Oh, that's rough.
Like, immediately.
It's a Catholic school, yeah.
Yeah, like everyone else there knew all the cool songs and shit. And so it was a very disarming moment, man. They'd stand up and start speaking in unison. Yeah, for anybody who's never been to a Catholic mass or a Catholic church, just been at a Catholic prayer, it's very much akin to being in a car with your friends, and a song comes on the radio that they all know the lyrics to, but you don't. And they're all jamming, and you're just kind of sitting there like... Mouthing the melody. You're like, watermelon, watermelon. And then you'd sing the chorus, maybe. Our Father, thank you. Donka Shane. Be safe out there. Grazie, Padre. Let's see what she wants. Dr. Coach, handling his girl on the phone, seeing what's up, making sure she's okay. Yeah. If I don't text back after a while, she just assumes I got kidnapped. I understand. You can live here if you want. I know that's not quite kidnapping, but you're welcome to. I bet I could fit leave. I bet I could fit into your bed. It's like, why the doors just lock? That's weird. This tea's formed. Man. Last time we were in the gym, Wes, you were telling me all about the knowledge you acquire, these YouTube things that you obsess over. You dropped knowledge on us on 32 subjects in a row. And just walked out of there. I'm sorry, I don't... and then you know about this, right? I'm sorry. I don't know. I haven't seen every John Oliver. I've seen a lot. I don't like... I'm sorry. I hate that I do that, but I like to be parts of conversations, and when people are talking, I'll just follow along to its next natural conclusion. And a lot of times the subject will shift. I'm like, oh, I know a thing about that. I have a lot of interdisciplinary knowledge, so I don't think I'm an expert at one thing, but I think I have a good grasp of a couple of things. And I mostly, because I go through weird phases where I'll listen to music for a little while, but then I'll just only listen to educational shows, and I'll only watch documentaries, and I'll only do this. What's a documentary recommendation you got for me? I need one and one only. Oh man, what's it called? I think it's just called Walmart. It's on Netflix right now. It's just about the inner workings of how the Walmart corporate structure and how they treat their employees. I watched it, I was like, that's it. Because I've always wanted to stop going to Walmart. I've always been like, I need to stop shopping here. I know this place is the devil. Yeah. But then I was like, something feels wrong with this place. I know that's seedy. And, I know that they shut down a lot of small businesses. I got to find... And then I watched the documentary and I was like, that's the tipping point right there. Okay. So I would say... Is it any different than the South Park episode about Walmart? Yes, in the sense that it is real. In the documentary, they don't find the heart of Walmart is a mirror, with the message being that you are the heart of Walmart.
Yeah, and then you just gotta shadow the mirror, and that's how you defeat Walmart, right?
I think so. I didn't see the end.
I'm sorry, I ruined it for anybody out there. Spoiler alert, BTW. Yeah, that one's a good one. I saw that and I was like, okay, that's it. No more Walmart stopping.
Okay.
And which was funny because the next day, I was like, man, I gotta go buy some stuff. And I started driving to Walmart. And as I pulled in the parking lot, I was like, fuck. It was Target across the street. Let's go over there. And I realized that's just as bad. But I'm starting small right now, man.
Where my brother lives, up in he lives in like southern Oregon, like pretty close to the border of California. Mm-hmm. It's a very small town called Klamath Falls, and he used to work at Walmart. And he would say like he would see his friends there all the time because in town that's just like where you go to like see what the girls are up to and see who's
it's
around.
A local spot. It's a local watering
hole. It's the spot, man. It's the spot.
It's crazy, man. There's a lot of stuff that Walmart does, and like people always say, oh, it's a horrible like. They follow the American dream. They start off with this tiny little shop, and then that's what everyone should be aspiring to. But then it's when they got there, it's how they acted. So it's not so much that they are a huge corporation. There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. You are successful. Congratulations. But when they got to that huge, their huge corporate status, it's now how they're treating their employees and how they're running the show that I don't agree with, and I think that's not cool.
I think a lot of people would agree with you.
If you watch that documentary, it's pretty crazy. Like, I knew it sucked, but I didn't realize it sucked that bad.
So what's your big issues these days, man? What are you going through? What can I help you with? I need more hugs?
I gotta say, man, I haven't had a high five all day long.
High five?
I really could just...
I mean, it's not personal. It's just, I'm busy.
Oh, I get it.
You
did it! Right now, I'm just... preparing for the end. I start classes again on Monday, so I'm taking only upper division classes this semester.
Any cool ones?
Yeah, actually, I'm taking race, ethnicity, and gender in American law. Cool. So it's a law-intensive philosophy course.
Wait, that's all one class you just said?
That's one class, yeah.
Whoa.
It's a course about that, so pretty much I'm going to be the bad guy.
Okay. Because
I'm the white, male, cisgendered, straight, and all those other able-bodied.
And yet I still love you, man. What the fuck?
I'm a huge piece of shit. What can I say?
What's wrong with
me? You're too gorgeous.
I listen to your ideas and fucking forget that you're privileged or whatever the right word is.
That's one thing I can't stand when people say like, "Oh, it's your white privilege. You're privileged." I hate it.
Has someone really said that to you?
Yes, I have.
Like people actually, because I hear people talk like this. I hear of it, but no one's ever told me.
I was called privileged, and I almost snapped because I can't handle it. But
was it in school?
No. I'm not going to get too specific on it right now. Okay. But it was someone incredibly close to me, and they're like, "Well, it's just because you're privileged." And I was like, "Oh, hell no." I was like, "Listen here. Let's go through the differences real quick. You grew up in a house. I grew up in motels. You grew up with both your parents. I grew up in 3 different states. I mean, 3 different houses, 2 different states. That was pretty close to accurate." I just don't like when people just assume it's literally they're like, "Oh, you're white, you must be privileged." It's like, you can't. That's racist. You don't get to do that.
Yeah.
Like there's no asterisk by racism. It's if you treat someone different because they're of a different race or ethnicity, then it's racism.
Yeah.
You don't get to caveat it. It's just how it is. And so I never liked being called privileged. Granted, I do feel I got really lucky in a lot of stuff. Being born in America was a pretty good call. That was awesome.
It helps.
I'm privileged in that sense. That's awesome.
Yeah. Where'd you spend most of your childhood? Around Southern California?
Around Orange County.
Orange County.
More like I was bounced back between Santa Ana, Garden Grove, Huntington Beach, and Orange. Kind of like in a little circle between those cities. I did do a stint in Colorado. That sucked.
Yeah, you told me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was another time. Man, I'm starting to think I'm telling these stories now. I'm pretty fucking gullible, aren't I, man? Because I got tricked into living in Colorado.
I mean, you were pretty young, if I remember, right?
Yeah, I just turned 13.
Yeah.
It was the summer. It was not a good time to get tricked into moving to Colorado because I've always lived in California, where I'm basically 5 hours away from anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Because California rocks. It's the best.
It's a privileged location.
It's very privileged. So I went to go. My mom had moved out there with her boyfriend and with my little sister, and so I moved out there to visit them for a couple weeks. I was like, yeah, cool, we'll stay with them for a little bit. And I flew out there and they met me at the airport. And I was like, oh, okay, hey everybody. And I was standing there. A couple weeks go by, and it's getting close to a month. And I go to my mom. And I go, Mom, when am I going back? I think I got to start getting ready for school and stuff like that pretty soon. And she goes, oh, nobody told you? Told me what? She goes, you live here now. And I go, fucking great. Here I am.
Oh my god.
So that's how that went down. That wasn't good. That's not a great time to trick a young boy into moving to another state and trying to make new friends and stuff. That was really, really uncomfortable. I think that's when I started developing a reading habit.
Okay. That makes sense.
I started reading. I didn't give a shit about school, literally, until I graduated high school. But I started giving 1% of one shit about reading in 6th grade. We had to do these those stupid reading counts tests where you have to read a book and then take a test on it and ask you questions about the book to make sure you read it.
Right.
Which I took a couple of them that I didn't read a book on and I still passed. So just saying. But no, so I was like, okay, I have to read one really big book and it'll count for this. So let me just knock this out of the way. And I grabbed Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Cool.
Biggest book I could find.
It's a good book.
And I opened it up and I read the first page and I go, what the fuck? And I read the second page. I have no idea what's going on. And I go, shit. I probably have to read the last book. And so I put it back and got the third one, Prisoner of Azkaban. I started reading it and I go, what is even happening in this fucking book? And so fuck it. I threw the book and I went and I grabbed the first book and I read through it and I go, holy shit, that was dope. That was way better than watching a movie.
How old were you at the time?
What was I? 11, I think.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to read this book to death. And so I think I read there were only 4 books out at the time. The 5th one was about to come out.
Okay.
And I read all 4 of them within the month. I had them all finished.
Jeez.
And then I waited 2 months for the next one to come out, and I finished it in a couple days, just 2 days, I think. That's all I did was read.
Have you read the newer one, the play?
I have not yet. My roommate has it, and I'm going to borrow it as soon as I finish. I'm going to go, yoink.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a quick one, too. I think you'll smoke it through,
Maybe. I used to do a lot of reading. Because like I said, I grew up, I spent maybe 6 years-ish, give or take, living in motels when I was younger. And you don't really get great TV channels there. There's HBO, and if you're lucky, you can get some porn late at night. But then again, you're also in a hotel with no rooms, 2 beds, and 6 people. So you can't really watch porn. So all do is read, and I'd read just a shit ton of books, and I'd finished up all the available Harry Potter books at the time. And I was like, okay, well, next book series. I went on to the Inheritance series, the Aragon books. I read through all those. I'd grab this stuff and read them.
And now I imagine a little too busy for the casual reading.
Yeah, I don't get to read as much as I used to, but I think I've replaced that with listening to educational talks, TED Talks and stuff like that. I think it's supplemented it.
But I feel a similar need.
Yeah, it's good. And I also have more things I can fill my time with than I could when I was 14. And I was like, what am I going to do? I can't go anywhere. I don't have any money. I can't do this. I'm like, fuck am I supposed to do? I can't have my friends come over. This sucks. But yeah, so I think the last book I read, I think was, it totally was. It was the Scott Pilgrim series. That was the last thing I read.
Okay.
That's just a good read.
I'm sure, man. I've only seen the movie and I liked it.
They're neat. It's like
Solid.
graphic novels more than a book, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to be able to dedicate, because if I'm going to read, I'm going to get intense into it. I'm going to spend 6 hours reading, and it's just hard for me to find a good chunk of time to knock that out.
Man. So this is why we keep the world in harmony, Wes. You go to work, you keep busy. I stay here and half read all these books.
Yeah, I was looking at your shelf. It's nice. What do we got over here? How to improve the size of your penis. That's a weird one. Oh, look, you're only at the beginning of it. See, the joke is they don't know what I'm looking at right now. And I can say whatever this is. This could be Mein Kampf, and they'll never know.
A book I thought I should read, man. I've actually considered that one.
I also have, but I don't know German, so I can't.
There's so many ways around that. It's not an excuse these days.
Just
man.
type each line into Google Translate.
I think that's just already done for you, man.
Yeah.
I think I can do some research for you.
No,
I can get you a copy.
I almost borrowed it from this girl in high school. Oh man, that was the funniest one too. I almost borrowed it from this chick, but then we stopped talking because I'm petty, and I didn't get a chance to read the book.
It's not too late, man.
No, I don't want to talk to her anymore.
She's not the only one who has. Okay, don't worry about it, man. I got you. I'll get you. I'll talk to her.
Thanks, man. It's just really. It's been a long time. It's been like 9 years.
And what about what do you think about when you think of the future, man? What are you going to school for? What do you think comes after that? Any idea?
Debt. Lots of debt. Just only debt. No, so much debt. But right now I'm studying philosophy at Cal State Long Beach, and when I got accepted at Cal State Long Beach to the philosophy department, they sent me an email like, "Oh, congratulations, you're a philosophy major now. You're with our department. There's really 3 things you can do with a philosophy degree. The first one is you can become a philosophy teacher. Okay, keep the circle going. Second one, you can go to law school. Okay, cool. You want to go be a lawyer. And the third one is you can die hungry and alone in the streets. Which one would you like to do?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I'll start with lawyer, and we'll see where it goes." So I'm hoping to go to law school after I graduate. I'm going to take the LSAT, and I'm going to get a perfect score and go to wherever I want and kick ass and take names. Ooh. But I will also settle if I have to. Right now, my game plan is all I'm thinking about is when I take that test, I'm going to get a 180, which is as high as it goes, and I'm going to get accepted into probably Harvard because the place is dope. Although I was just doing research, I don't even know if Harvard's the best law school for me to go to, but I might go just because it's fucking Harvard. So
yeah, sounds dope.
It's just good to say, like, oh, it's like you went to UCLA? How fucking cute. Oh, that's adorable. NYU. That's cute.
I mean, it's a good school, but it's not Harvard.
Oh, that's not bad. I remember when I was at Harvard. I'd probably start a conversation. I'd be so shitty, too. I'd be such a piece of shit. I would have no friends left. They'd be saying something like, "Oh, man, I got so drunk last night. Oh, it's crazy. You know, when I was at Harvard, I got drunk once." No, I'm kidding. I was busy studying. I was at Harvard. I would lose all my friends because I'd be such a piece of shit.
And is this your last semester at Long Beach, or?
No, I've got a couple more. Like I said, I had to take that hiatus at my last job. It pushed me back, which isn't a big deal. There's a saying, all paths lead to the summit. Yeah. My path got blocked a little bit, so I took a detour. But that's okay. I don't mind it.
Yeah, no problem.
More time to spend here. And then once I do finish up, I'll probably spend at least 2 months studying. The way I look at it, I'm going to treat it like a fight. I'm going to train for at least 10 weeks. You know, I'm going to cut a lot of weight. Wait, no, not the part. I'm going to just study my ass off all day and all night. Take that test, kick its ass.
Savage, man. Have you come across Stoic philosophy? Is that something you've studied?
Stoicism? Yes, not as a whole lot, and not in a while. But I do know a little bit about Stoicism. Okay. And it's not that you're always bummed out for you listeners out there who are like, I know Stoicism. You're probably thinking of nihilism. You're very close, though.
A lot of crossover.
Yeah.
Some crossover.
Many similarities.
Yeah, man. Because when I was in college, I studied philosophy as well, but only because my philosophy teacher, she was a Zen sensei. And I didn't know that when I started taking classes with her.
Sensei?
She was a good woman. So I got into it like mostly just to study Zen with her, and then in recent times, man, everything that I looked for in Zen, besides the meditation, all the ways of thinking of the world, are represented exactly in Stoicism, which Zen comes from Japan, in a couple hundred years ago. Stoicism comes from Rome. Fucking when? 1,000?
Thousands.
2,000?
3,000? It's
old.
I think it's pre-Socratic. Okay. If there's anybody listening who is better at me than philosophy, please don't make fun of me.
It's unlikely with my
But I do recall it being a really, really old one.
Yeah. The book I'm reading is by Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
Who's in Gladiator.
If you've got an us at the end of your name, you're in the business. That's an old name.
Yeah, man. We've been talking for a whole 50 minutes, Wes.
Fuck yeah. Time flies when you're dope as shit.
I don't know if you have any questions for me, man. I know I've asked you some personal ones.
What got you into jiu-jitsu? I remember you trained at Paragon, didn't you?
No.
No?
No.
I'm very sorry.
No. I started doing jiu-jitsu when I was living in San Diego. I went to the University of San Diego. I didn't train anything my freshman year. Sophomore year, I started doing Muay Thai at Victory MMA, where Dean Lister and Jeff Glover teach.
That's why I thought you were at Paragon, because I heard you say Jeff Glover's name one time, and was like, yeah, it's probably just that. Word association.
When I was there, man, I was loving the Muay Thai class, but I was scared to death of getting punched in the face.
You get punched sucks.
So like I started dipping out to wrestling practice and started falling back in love with that. Something about wrestling, man, like I developed this bias when I was really young, and so maybe it stopped being true, but I still hold on to my core belief that a bigger man has a way better chance in wrestling than as opposed to, say, jiu-jitsu. Size matters a lot more in wrestling.
It does.
Strength matters a lot
That's
more.
not totally wrong.
Yeah, and so I got really frustrated with it, man, and then I signed up the following year at Pitbull Jiu-Jitsu in San Diego.
Mr. Worldwide?
A gym that no longer exists.
Oh, okay.
What'd
Well, because
you
he's
say?
probably out producing records and stuff, right?
Who?
Mr. Worldwide, right? I didn't even know he knew jiu-jitsu. That's crazy.
Yes, Pitbull the artist. And then immediately after college, man, I just went to Asia. So I was out there for 2 years, and I started training at Taiwan BJJ. And it was pretty cool, man. I had some jiu-jitsu experience. I had 3 years of wrestling under my belt, but I was training there with no stripes on my white belt. And I thought it was pretty fucking cool after I was training for like 3 years. And like people would come visit the gym and just look at me. I'm just this ratty kid. Like I'm sure my hygiene wasn't so good at the
Hey,
time.
everyone.
Yeah, like very quiet and just stretching all weird and like putting my foot behind my head, hanging upside down, and then just busting some ninja moves, man.
That's
I
awesome.
loved it. I got really into that. And then unfortunately I got my blue belt the day before I was leaving. They had like a special seminar, and like
That's awesome.
I got when you get belted in a gi system. It's traditional. You get tossed, like a judo toss, by all the black belts in attendance, and the whole crowd, whoever's there, whips you.
I do recall that part. I didn't know the judo toss part. That sucks.
Yeah, so
I don't think that's actually a thing, man. I think they just jumped you.
So like on my blue belt ceremony, it wasn't like everyone got promoted. It was a special event. This guy was in town it was a Japanese man who lives in Hong Kong, Makoto Aramaki. It was his seminar. He had a bunch of black belts with him. He was a black belt woman with him. All these Japanese people were there. So I got tossed 6 times.
Oh, man,
And then
that's rough.
usually, like on a belt promotion, a lot of people get promoted, so a lot of people get whipped. But this was a special day in the gym where there's more people. Maybe there's 80 people there. And it was just me. I had a Jacare walk.
Oh,
It was
man.
like a Spider-Man walk, sometimes
Yeah.
it's known as. Where you're essentially crawling on the floor, just like being pelted.
And they were just oh, that sucks so
And I don't know
hard.
if you see my back, man, but it's basically ribs. There's not much going on there.
Cracked a couple of those things on the way out.
Yeah.
That's a rough one. I wasn't even in attendance for my blue belt promotion. I wasn't even
weren't?
there. Nope.
What does that mean? You still got it, though?
Yeah, I still got it, but I wasn't there. It was at, I think it was the first Eddie Bravo seminar we had at Costa Mesa. We'd only been open for about 6 months. And I've been training there since the day it opened. And
How'd you show up the first day?
Um,
You knew someone?
yeah, so Arthur knew this guy named Raul, who owns the gym where the Old Orange was at.
Okay.
And he
XBT?
helped, yes, XBT. It's no longer there. Now it's House of Gyms.
Ooh.
Right. And he was helping with the legal paperwork because he knows like Ron and Casey from all back then. And so I think he was helping with the paperwork or something like that. And Arthur was like, dude, because he's always been 2 knuckles deep for 10th Planet. Like he's like, I want to train 10th Planet so bad. And he had all of Eddie's books. And he's like, the nearest one's in Riverside. And they open one in Coast Space. He goes, we have to go. And I was like, man, I don't know. It's like, well, I'm just like, I'm so tired. Okay, fine, let's go. And I was like, I'm probably not going to sign up anyway. I don't have any money. My bank account literally says negative $18. So I'm like, I'm not, whatever. And so we go there, and I fell in love with the place. And I was like, okay, I'm signing up. And I told Casey, I'm like, look, my card's in a bounce. Because he was charging right then. I'm like, it's in a bounce, just letting you know right now. So he charged, he goes, yeah, it didn't go. And I go, yeah, give me like 3 days, and I'll get the. And so I was like, okay, I got. 3 days later, I had enough money, and I put it in my account, and I called him up and said, charge it now, before my automatic phone bill goes through. I'm like, charge it. And so he charged it, and I had $3 left in my account. I was like, yes, I made it. But yeah, so I'd been training there for 6 months, and then they had Eddie Bravo come in, and I was supposed to be promoted to blue belt, but I was at a wrestling tournament. And so I was there all morning, and I was bummed out that I couldn't make it, but I was like, whatever. And then I got a text from my buddy. He goes, hey, Matt, congratulations. And I was like, on what? He goes, you got your blue belt. And I was like, no, I didn't. I'm over here. And And he goes, yeah, they didn't realize you weren't there, so they called your name to promote you, and you didn't show up. So I walked in the gym the next day, and I got my belt. And in the 10th Planet system, when you get your belt, they just choke you with it. So
wrap it around your neck.
So I walked in, and I got choked by my own belt.
That's cool, man.
It's fun stuff, man.
And now you got a brown belt recently?
I did. I just got my brown belt a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
It's neat. It's a doo-doo belt.
Is your dick bigger now?
No, it's shrank. It was weird.
Really?
Yeah. I've called a couple doctors, and I guess apparently it's always been that big, but bullshit. It was way bigger. Yeah, it's cool because I like it. I'm still half human, so it's a good ego boost. Like, yeah, I'm being recognized for my abilities and stuff. But it sucks because every single brown belt rash guard looks like shit. They just all suck. So I've got a couple of them they're okay. But purple's my favorite color. So when I was a purple belt, all my rash guards were dope. And I was like, yeah, these are so cool looking. There's all these awesome colors and stuff. And your brown belt, it's just grim. It's just nasty looking.
But there's no rule, man, that you can't still wear the purple ones, right?
And there's not. And I kept my Nawaza turtle one because
awesome.
It's Donatello, and he's my favorite Ninja Turtle.
Okay.
So I'm all about it. So
Okay.
I kept that one, and if anybody gives me shit for it, I'm just going to choke them. Problem solved.
Because the way I always thought about, man, like, I've even seen people, like, wear lower belts. It's like, now that you have a brown belt, you still have a purple belt.
Mm-hmm.
You still are a purple belt, but you're also a brown belt.
I get that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like, you're not less of a purple belt. If anything, you're more. I don't know. That's the way I always saw it.
There it is. Look at that. Hey, are you alive? Only just.
Do you, should you get going, man? Or
I don't got plans tonight,
do? No? Do you need food? Can I feed you?
Do you have any sandwiches?
Wes, have you ever been in a cockpit before? You like movies about gladiators? You ever seen a grown man naked?
Oh, wait. Yeah?
Well, we are out of tea, man. I guess that's the only thing keeping me alive. But I appreciate you coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, dude,
You got a
this
lot
is...
of stuff to say.
I mean, I feel... I just have some stories I've collected. Looking back, like, some of the stuff my stories I looked at, they're not really interesting. And I don't really feel like they're a big deal to talk about.
Yeah.
And then, like, they'll come up and people are like, what the fuck? How did that even... I'm like, yeah, I just kind of go up on my team.
That's my favorite thing, man. That's what I've been learning, like, lately. Like, if you ask someone about their life, like, the most mundane stuff to so many people is shocking to others.
Yeah, it's...
Like, even my life, man. Like, my life is so strange to me. Like, let alone, like, anybody else who's, like, doing
I think it's awesome.
their stuff. They have their own life.
I think it's awesome you spent that time in Asia. I didn't know that at all.
Oh, yeah. I was out there for 2 years, man.
That's rad. Just to blow off steam off after college, just to explore.
Just avoiding that accounting job, man. I majored in accounting, had a lot of debt, and I went over to Taiwan with a job lined up, and then my family, against all odds, had set aside money for me for graduation. Mm-hmm. So in the situation where I had a flight to Taiwan, I had a job lined up, I had just broken up with my girlfriend, I was gifted way too much money. Mm-hmm. It basically came to my inheritance young.
Yeah.
That's one way to look at it. And so it was just strange, man. Like, I went out there with a shit job, and just at the airport, they're there to pick me up, and I put my hand up and walked right past them. Like, they had my,
you just didn't
my
show?
name on a cardboard.
Oh, that's awesome. That's right out of a movie.
And then I just sat in Asia for a long time, man. Like, I circled, like, I showed up in Taiwan, stayed there for about 2 months, circled the island a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
went hiking all these places, met all these weird people, drank a lot of tea.
That's awesome.
Ended up at this, like, meditation cult for a while. They're just welcoming, and you can meditate, and they'll make you vegetarian food, and ask you about your life, and see what's what. And
that's so dope. Did you pick up any new languages at all?
I picked up a little bit of Chinese, but not, like, conversational. Like, I ended up living in Taiwan for a year and a half. After I traveled around, I moved back there and got a job. And even until the end, man, like, if a girl came up to me and was like, oh, you speak Chinese? I'm like, absolutely not. There's none. No. But I could go to a Chinese tea shop, Chinese-style tea shop, where the way that's always set up is one man sitting there drinking tea by himself, usually with a TV. Sometimes he's reading a book. Mm-hmm. And if you just sit down, you can drink tea with him.
That's awesome.
There's no questions asked, no talk of money, nothing. Just here you go. And I could talk to that guy in Chinese. I could tell him that his tea is good and tea in China is terrible. Taiwan and China. It's always like a popular thing to say in Taiwan.
Yeah. Like, it's easy to get points by bashing the enemy.
Yeah. Everywhere you go. And so I have that level of Chinese. I have one Chinese joke. Would you like to hear my Chinese joke?
I would love to hear your Chinese joke.
Okay. It's not funny in English, but I'll tell you the Chinese version. It sounds pretty nice. You think. Alright. 美国妹妹没有毛好台湾妹妹有毛 tomato 好
I can see the punctuation with that. I'm like, that's the punchline. That's the funny part.
See? Sounds right.
Nice. What did I just laugh at? That wasn't a racist joke, was it?
No, it's a pubic hair joke.
Always a classic.
And it's informative, man. I would tell it to taxi drivers. What it translates to is American vagina has no hair, and that's good. Taiwanese vagina has hair, and that's fucking great. That's the joke. And it's informative. Like Taiwanese cab drivers, they don't know. Like Mayo meme, Mayo Mao. Mayo? And
That's
it's like
awesome.
it's on another level because the Chinese language apparently doesn't have the word vagina. Like we have a lot of words for it. You can use that. That's like the nicest one, and it's still a little rude.
Mm-hmm.
It can get a lot ruder. There's many other options,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently in Chinese, man, like the word that I was told from everyone is mei mei, which is little sister.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds Taiwanese, all right.
Yeah, and so like in like a classroom setting, they would never tell you that also means vagina. And so I would tell this to Taiwanese guys, and they'd fall. My Taiwanese roommates fell out of their chair when they heard me say it. Cause like, does he know what he does?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's actually funny. Speaking of other names for vaginas, we're going to take a left turn on weird, go down topical. Now, do you actually know where the word pussy comes from?
I have no idea.
It is not initially meant to be about vaginas at all.
Okay.
So it's actually an abbreviation for the word pusillanimous, right? Which is like, damn girl, let me get at that pusillanimous. You wouldn't say that because it's not sexy. Also, it doesn't actually mean that anyways. To be pusillanimous is to be of small soul. So the Greeks that had they would say someone's magnanimous is to be able to walk into a room and have this charisma and be able to center of attention kind of thing, right? That's somebody who's magnanimous and they can conduct themselves in such a manner. The opposite of that is pusillanimous, is the person who kind of meeks off into the back and is doesn't command respect and doesn't like demand attention. They
Can't look in each other's eyes because he's a pussy.
Yeah, exactly. and so they would say that this person, or you'd be pusillanimous, but then that's too many syllables, so they said he's just a pussy. And then for some reason that got turned towards women because sexism, and they would say, women are pusillanimous or women are pussies, and then it started going to women's pussies, and then it was just about the vagina because sexism. Because of the patriarchy.
The privilege of the patriarchy.
Exactly. Hashtag feminism. But yeah, that was actually something really interesting I learned from my Eastern philosophy class. I don't know why we were talking about pussy in my class, but we were.
Unrelated.
For some reason. We were talking about pussy. It was a good class.
Cool, man.
It was awesome.
That's cool. I feel like that's a good time to turn off this recorder, man.
That's a good stopping point.
I appreciate everything. Dr. Coach Wes. Go, anybody listening want to do some jiu-jitsu, Dr. Coach Wes. I assume you do privates. Are you available for them?
I am available for privates.
People can contact you about?
Absolutely. If you hit me up on my Facebook, just Wes Levine, or if you find me on Instagram, Dr. Coach Wes. If you just pop into our gym, 10th Planet Orange, it's just on Tustin and Taft in the city of Orange. Just Google it. Pretty easy to find. It's a
10th
goddamn
Planet
future.
Orange.
Come by and hit me up. I'll teach you the dark arts, or how to dress better, maybe a funny joke, some conversation starters. Really, it's a private lesson in anything, not just jiu-jitsu.
I'm trying to learn some work ethic from you, man. You're an inspiration. I appreciate it.
Thanks man.
For
It's
listening,
awesome
guys.
being here.
All right, next time. Goodbye.